All right. Well, whoa, Sprite did that, not Coke. Uh, Finn asked me to go live. So I decided I'd go live because he asked me to, and he's a subscriber. And I do what you guys ask, as long as it's within reason and it's not like jump off a 50-story building or something like that. Without, with the parachute, I'd think about it. Well, I probably would. But you'd have to provide the parachute and make sure I don't go to jail. So, what's up, Art? What's up, C4? Actually, Finn59 asked me to go live. So I said, okay. Hey, what's up, Hunter? So I was like, all right, I'll go live since a subscriber asked me to. I wasn't planning to, but like I said, I just received a message about 10 minutes ago that he wanted me to go live. So I said, okay, sure. Something about he had bought some Iranian quarter-ounce gold dated between 1949 and 1976, I think it was, or 5 or something like that. So I was hoping that he would get this. I shared it out before I went live, hoping he'd come on and explain more about that piece he had just bought. He said he was crushing his gold goal for the year by getting like a quarter ounce a month or something like that. So that's why I've gone live, hoping that he would take the opportunity to come on here and talk about his gold purchases and him exceeding his own set goals for the purchasing of gold. I actually like the fact that he got the Iranian gold piece. I thought that was kind of cool. Sorry, taking a hit. Oh, yeah. I tell you what, who has a good stack is excuse me, Chad Wolfenslegensteinenhausen Bergerdorf. He has well in excess of 10,000 ounces of silver. He is going to be so wealthy. But as is any stacker long term, and of course, when you get into stacking, you got to realize it is long term because the bull runs on precious metals are about every 45 to 50 years. So after 2025, 2075, 2070 will be the next bull run in precious metals. So there you go on that one. So actually, it's a hodl after they run. Wait a couple years, start buying it. And by the time 40 years, 45 years passes, and the next bull run comes for precious metals, you'll be stacked. So it's a cyclical thing. Of course, you'll get less and less each time in between each bull run because the price goes up. And if the price goes up, well, let's pay matches. We know where that goes. You get less and less. So what do you guys want to talk about? Like I said, Finn asked me to go live, and he hasn't shown up yet. He was going to show, well, not show and tell, but at least talk about his stack as Art Collector was talking. He'd like to hear him talk about. And I did go live because he requested me to go live. Still waiting for him, though. So if you guys want to talk about anything, I don't actually have anything new that I'd like to talk about. Haven't been talking about the great things that have been going on in Burkina Faso, because I just don't want to. I want to see how it plays out before I start running my mouth more about it, because I'm not sure the political direction. I like the economic stuff they're doing, but it could all be skewed depending on their political persuasion that they lean to after this guy Trudeau turns it back over to the people to govern. Again, it's a different system over there. They seem to like him running their country, so they don't want a democratic process just yet. And that's, kind of sort of how their politics goes over there. So I kind of backed off doing reports on that stuff till, like I said, I see more of a clear political insight on which way they're leaning. Because bizarrely, I'm kind of confused of why BRICS isn't helping out South Africa, and why Russia's not building up and helping them reopen their nuclear power plants to give them power so they can actually be sustainable as a government. And yet, by not offering the power, that assistance to South Africa, which is one of the founding members of BRICS, they're offering and actually now currently building 2 nuclear power plants in Egypt, which officially still isn't a member of BRICS, and one in Burkina Faso, which hasn't even suggested joining BRICS. So that's kind of bizarre, and another reason why I've halted my shows on the Africa thing, because it's kind of up in the air right now, and I don't want to get caught with my pants down saying one thing and then it changed, and then I have to explain why I said it might go that way. It's just there's a lot of uncertainty in that area right now, and it could go a lot of different ways, and I don't see a clear direction. So I don't want to report on it without seeing a clear direction, because that wouldn't make me look good, and I don't like not looking good. So there's that. How did I become great at networking? I didn't know I was great at networking. I just talk to people. I don't care who they are, what they are. There's title, status, and I get to know people, or they seem to like how I'm a straight shooter, and I don't like prejudge people or stuff. And I just throughout time got to know a lot of people, and that it comes natural. I mean, it just be kind, helpful, and grateful. If you're kind, helpful, and grateful, networking kind of sort of comes natural at that point in time. It's all in the frequency, vibration, and energy. You just get on that right wavelength, and it just comes naturally. Actually, listen to people. That actually helps. And of course, having answers when they ask, excuse me, is even better. I'm drinking a Sprite right now. Yeah, I don't know. It's divine. When like right now I'm at my house, I'm a different person. If I go out in public, you get a total different meal depending on the public scene, because opportunities, situations, everything's different when you go out, and you never want to shut a door on yourself, even if you don't know if you will or won't. You never want to perceive that, so you always be respectful of everybody, and people notice that and want to be associated with that, so it just makes it easier. That's all. I really don't know. If I knew, I'd write a book on it, probably make some money. Who knows? I just, some people are good at, I've always been good at gab. I've been gifted with being able to talk, and I always know what I don't, as I've gotten older, I don't talk about things I don't know. So I give a perception of knowledge base when I talk, and that also draws people into wanting to talk to you. And I guess that helps with like networking. I don't stay in one realm of thought in business or anything else. I'm always open to do random different things, like jump from the crypto mining, gold mining, to space mining. I'm diverse in my thought processes and accepting of other people's thought processes. That makes it easier to network. Just being open to other people's thoughts and what they're doing, and actually probably wanting to honestly or earnestly help them achieve their goals is a real good way to network. Even if the person, if you're not doing, if you're not into what they're doing, helping someone achieve their goal in long term can help you out greater than helping them. Because people tend to, when they succeed, they remember who. Well, it used to be this way. They used to remember who got them there, and then they'd be kind, helpful, and grateful, and that would benefit. And if everyone was like that, everyone would benefit eventually. You know what? Okay, that's a good one. Hi, William, by the way. Tesla robots in the pipeline. BYD, I believe it is the number one electric car company in China. And actually, it is subsidized 100% by the Chinese Communist Party government. So they're actually only number one because they're subsidized more heavily than Tesla is. They're actually probably going to be going into bankruptcy. And they just bought a freaking shitload of robots for their assembly line for their cars, even though they're going. And I think I did a story on it, a podcast on this. My belief is that when China does its collapse, all the other auto industries are going to buy those robots that I think it's the BYD electric car company in China just purchased for their assembly lines, because when they go bankrupt, they'll be selling them, which means that car companies can get secondhand robotic units that have been barely used, which will long-term increase worldwide production and use of those robots. And I think actually Elon Musk is wanting to jump in on that market. And because of the way our government's going with taxes and tariffs and stuff like that, being built here in America rather than being built in China, that it might be a way for China to get some extra money out of us, because American car companies might want to buy their secondhand auto line assembly robotic units for their electric cars, depending on what the tariff is, rather than buying a brand new one from Tesla. It could be just a competition thing. Probably is a competition thing, because right now actually is a good time to be building things in America. So if he's going to be building a robotic unit in America, the price tag for it will probably be cheaper than getting it from China, unless you get the secondhand robot from China. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that can go. But with America and every other country pushing, with America pushing for a more equitable trading system with every country, rather than them screwing us left, right, and center 365. There he is. It'll help the economy with these taxes and tariffs get renegotiated prices, and maybe exporting of goods to foreign countries of stuff made in America will be a thing, and we'll actually start building, creating, and manufacturing. Hey, Finn, do you want to come up on stage and talk about your silver, or do you just want to do it in chat? Your call. I'm going to put the link up if you want to come up. There's the link right there if you want to come up. Hold on, I'm copying something else here. Okay, chat's cool, bro. You were talking about that Iranian piece you had. A lot of people are actually, no, I'm very interested in it. Okay, William, seeing that bottom part, I see that as being start a homestead. Because right now, if you would be able to buy a robot to help teach your child and do some house stuff, that would be a great time to start a homestead, because it would free up your time to actually make money off the homestead. Not only that, with the new tax laws coming into effect next year or later this year, depending on the taxes. Each of us pays, or excuse me, each child gets $16,000 a year from taxpayers. It used to go through the Federal Department of Education, and then it would go down to the school systems in the individual states. And what the new tax system is proposing is that the parents get that tax dollar per child so that they can use it to either homeschool, send them to private schools, which $16,000 will get your child enrolled into a private school, for different types of educational systems. So if you had like 2 kids and you had a robotic unit that was credible in the teaching system to be able to homeschool your kids, you could actually, if you had 2 kids, you could make $32,000 on taxes from the education system's tax system put into your accounts for teaching, for homeschooling. So it could be very financially viable for a homesteading scenario, especially with more computers and robotics stuff, autonomous work. It sounds like a great time to buy a place in the country. Yeah, I like that Iranian one you were talking about. I already got 1 strike. Okay, see. It's unclear how long it'll take for these robots to become useful as described, but in theory, once the robot learns how to do plumbing, that data will be, it'll be integrated instantly into others. It'll probably be downloaded via some sort of a online link to download to your robotic unit, updated all kinds of plumbing rules, regulations. Every time the state or the county comes up with a new plumbing rule or regulation, they would download it to the network, and your robot would pick that up and follow the local and county and state and federal guidelines that change often. It'll actually be a more excuse me, there's a possibility, if done right, that it'll be a more effective system, because the way, even though we have all this great technology with all the different agencies that we have, and I'm sure it doesn't affect plumbing too much, but in other things it will affect it, that robotics will have a part in. Overlapping rules and regulations could really stumble fuck that. And clarity would have to be given, that or getting rid of a lot of agencies that have double or overlapping regulations, because that's actually a stumble fuck for robotics and getting updated information when it comes to any kind of I guess forestry work would be double or triple agency coverage, because you have the federal forest department, you have individual state forest departments, and then you have county forest departments. So you have like 3 agencies doing the same fucking job, when there's a better way to do it. If the feds are going to keep a damn federal agency, then what they should do is that federal agency should mostly be of supplies and vehicles that would stop or manage fires or other things like that. And then on the state level, they should have access to that if that state has a fire in their area. Hey, what's up, Pablo? So if they ran it that way, we could really save a lot of money and lose a couple agencies, which would also save us money. So, the whole system we have is geared for exorbitant waste and overregulation by design, because we've grown our economy for the past 40 years by government growth, not really private industry growth. Government has grown the economy. That's where 50 years ago we had like 30, 40, 50 agencies. Now we have 450 agencies. That is total government economic growth, waste, and overregulation, which actually stumble fucks economies, growth, and innovation. Do I support Dodge? I support anybody who will cut the throat of people stealing our money. And if that's through finding waste and fraudulent spending and things that are not beneficial to the people who got that money or who earned that money and then gave it to the government for the government to do wasteful, stupid shit so the politician gains, not the people who gave that money to, I support 110%. And that seems to be exactly what Dodge is doing. For example, 6 million people are now not getting Social Security checks that are over the age of 125. Wow. There's actually no one alive over the age of 125. So how could 6 million freaking Social Security checks go out to people over 125 years old? That is distinctly fraud, waste, and abuse. And it also kills every one of us who want to draw Social Security one day, because that's our fucking money. It's not the government's. It's separate from the government. It was set up that way. So someone's stealing that. Because if you do 6 million times 1,000, what's that? 6 billion a month being sent out to fraudulent people out of Social Security. So when they end that means that 6 billion a month stays in Social Security and can actually go to the 60 million Americans who actually paid for it, which means they actually get larger increases in Social Security, which means instead of grandma having to choose between medications and food, she can afford both because there's less fraud in that system. So yeah, I don't see where anyone would not support that system. I mean, if to not support that system means basically you agree with criminalizing the government for individuals who are in power to gain at the expense of the rest of us, because that's exactly what happened. Because I don't think anyone voted for those 6 million people over 125 to get those Social Security checks. So it had to have been done behind the scenes. And the only way that could happen is if a politician bought it and sold us out. And that's fraud, waste, and abuse. So yeah, we need to get rid of all that shit. Streamline our system, cut regulations, allow businesses a chance to succeed. Because if private industry has a chance to actually grow, and you don't just support these billion-dollar industries that are too big to fail, it's a proven fact that small corporations and companies employ more Americans than large corporations, and large corporations get a majority of support from the government, not the small ones. It's exact reverse of how it actually should work if you look at who pays. Because the small people who employ most of the people in America, well, damn, they're the ones that pay the taxes that you are fraudulently spending elsewhere, costing them the chance to make a good living and pay a higher wage to their employee. So yeah, let's get rid of all that waste and abuse, and let's see if America can't work a little better. I think it can. I think it will. I mean, look at Venezuela. They only cut 3.5% of their freaking government workers, and it's like an economic Nobel fucking prize he just won, because everyone in the world who's looking at that system is going, how the hell could he have dropped inflation by 75% in 6 months? Oh my God, this is never before we even think that was possible. And I've always said Argentina is a benchmark for how America is going to do it. So by cutting out the Department of Education, a couple other departments, streamlining down and getting rid of a majority of the bureaucracy of the FBI, or 20,000 employees that are basically fucking us and we're paying them to, we could fire them and leave the agents in the field to be able to do the field work without the bureaucrats stopping them for some reason and we're paying for. So to get rid of that abuse and fraud, that also saves money for the taxpayers. And wow, yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. Wait till next year. Boom, bingo. Yeah, but we deny that person of responsibility for fucking technological conveniences. That's the problem with that one. Not too many people exercise those rights. They give them up for convenience. You could go out and clean the street and the sidewalk yourself, but you would rather pay a tax to have a street sweeper come by and do it once a month and do it very inefficiently. But hey, you're paying for it. And to get the street sweeper, the city or town has to raise taxes to get up about, I don't know, at least $500,000 for one machine. And then you're going to have about 5 or 6, employees yearly. So you're going to have the tax for that. And you see how They'll tax you for the convenience of taking over what you should do to save yourself money of being taxed, or turning over control of your sovereignty to the government for convenience. What's up, Pete? How's it going, brother? And that's what you do when you allow and vote for new taxes. You are basically telling the government, yeah, for our convenience, we're going to allow you to run more of our lives because we don't want to. The reason why I'm so successful in my neighborhood is because I go out, I take care of the fucking grass in the streets that's growing through the cracks, because the street sweeper doesn't do that. And I don't want to see my city government come up with another agency to do a statistical analysis for $500,000 to find out the best way to take care of weeds in a fucking road that you haven't repaved in 30 years. When I know the answer, repave the fucking road, or let me out there with some Clorox and a Clorox bleach sprayer, and I'll kill this shit. So that's what I do. And the road looks very nice. I get out there with my blower and pick up all the pebbles and blow, make it look all fucking sweet shit. 2 houses each direction plus my house. So 5 houses, sidewalk, road, clean front yards of all of them. Because I don't want to pay tax to some. Well, that's the thing. There's not that many responsible citizens. Oh, it's gonna be fun, brother. It's gonna be fun, Finn. My friend Travis, he actually went out on a limb and gave a date, which I'm kind of surprised about. But yeah, apparently within 3 months we're gonna be seeing some interesting crap. So dry powder on the side. What that means is cash on the side. I saw a friend on X for $120 had bought like 5 battery operated tools with the batteries all in good working order. Each one of those tools individually would have cost $200 to $250, and he got 5 of them with the batteries for $120. I mean, he's in the construction industry, so it was really beneficial for him to do that. He's going to make a lot of money off those tools, but that option is going to be there coming up. A lot of people are going to be selling their shit to keep afloat, and the people who have money to pick it up, you'll be able to. Yeah, it was a very good deal, Pablo. Thorand, 1984. He lives up in Sacramento. He's the one who made the post on X, if you follow him. Oh, excuse me. But there's going to be a lot of good deals like that coming up, because a lot of these people who have overextended and think that they're millionaires, but they're actually not. They're just millionaires on paperwork. That paperwork's called stock market. You saw how one day $6.5 million disappeared. Well, a lot of paper-rich Americans freak the frick out because it's called paper-rich. You know, it's not real rich. It's not actual wealth. It's not solid assets. It's borrowed money and unpaid assets, and that's a horrible way to get money or think you have money. I'm seeing houses down in Alabama, southern Alabama, $100,000. I'll be happy as a freaking pig to pick up $100,000 house and call it a castle, rather than spend $300,000 and all the excess work and taxes and everything else. It's just too for what, you know? Just so someone can look at your place and say, "Oh wow, you're doing good." Oh fuck, I'd rather have $100,000 place and play it off in a fucking year or two, and could care less what people think because it's paid off. Because from that point in time, you can change your perspective. Because at that point in time, you now have a piece of real estate, as cheap as it is, it could be paid off very freaking easily. Once it's $100,000 house is paid off, you have a stable base. You have leverage. You could leverage that thing up to $1 million in loans. Now you start stepping up in the financial ladder, but you don't leverage it. You find another one and you rent that one out, and then you live in the other one. So now you're getting a little income, and you have your second house. Now you're even looking better to creditors. And if we change our economic system up, people will start throwing loans at you with very low interest rate if they see that you're playing the game properly. Oh, they're going to be out there, Pablo. Within 3 months, there's going to be that one house. I'm actually waiting. My early retirement's going to be like $800 a month, because it's only like 60% after taxes and shit like that. It'll be like $800 a month. And $100,000 loan is only $650 a month. So I'll be able to cover basically majority of utilities and the home loan with my early retirement check. That's like financial freedom, because my early retirement check's guaranteed. I've been doing the work for 33 years paying into it, so it's guaranteed. I'll get it till I die. So I'll have my house payment and utilities covered from my early retirement check. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll still need food and all this other shit, car and all this other stuff. I get those side gigs I've got going on that'll bring in some money. What, 2,000-3,000 a month without any bills? You're living pretty damn good. So yeah, if you downsize your requirement for living, you can live a lot better. Instead of a $300,000 house, $100,000 house. Because with a $100,000 house, you could actually take a 1 month vacation and fucking have the money to do it. $300,000 house, you might need to get a credit card, go on that vacation, and then work a little bit harder and a little more overtime to pay off that credit card. You see the difference in lifestyles? It's about personal choice. The people that get the $300,000 house, they care what that picture looks like to their neighbor. Me? Who the fuck's my neighbor to how I live? Do they make my bed? Do they clean my car? Do they do my dishes? No. Okay, well, they're nice people, but I don't care what they think about me. As long as my finances are secure and sound and my house can't get taken, I'm a winner. If I had that $300,000 house and I could only pay up $100,000 of it, well, then I'm still $200,000 in debt. How far off good am I, really? Mentally, I would rather have the $100,000 house and have it paid off than a $300,000 house with $100,000 down, because then I still owe $200,000. That means I have a life of servitude to look forward to. The thing about freedom is get out of servitude. Getting out of servitude is not buying things, but paying them off. And paying them off is harder than buying them. You can get the $300,000 house, hell of a lot harder to pay off. You can very easily get the $100,000 house and very easily pay it off. Now you're looking at your mentality. Are you going to fucking be psychologically feeling better? Is your psychological health, which has been proven to affect real health, will it not be a lot more at ease if you know that no one can take your house because you don't have a loan on it? Because you paid it off because it was only $100,000? I mean, that you gotta. I mean, I'm just using the number 100,000. Everyone's situation is differently. You look in different areas of the world or America or different states, and you come to your own conclusions. That's where research comes in. I personally have found out that a dollar bill spending power here in California, because of rules and regulations of this state and taxes, gets 88 cents on the dollar buying power. In Alabama, because of the lack of rules, regulations, and state taxes, that same dollar gets $1.12 worth of purchasing power. The internet is worldwide. So if I gain 24% purchasing power on my dollar just from moving to California to Alabama, and I can buy a $100,000 home and have it paid off in a year or two, I mean, wow, 24% increased purchasing power of my dollar. Think economics. That increases that spending power of that $800+ retirement check by 24%. So it would be the same as having a $1,100 retirement check out here in California, but I couldn't even live off of, because you can't even rent something, a piece of shit, for less than $2,500. So yeah, why not go to Alabama and enjoy my life and on that little bit of money that goes a lot further, because of the purchasing power of the dollar of that state is different because of rules, regulations, and state taxes. Hey, what's up, Mark C? William, bingo. Sweet. Now that's a good thought, Pastor. Pay that land off, man, and get something built on there and gain equity, because then now you're rich. Open land, build a house on it, and don't get a loan for that house, and that house is built, according to all the regulations and building codes of your area, wherever that area is. You're gaining equity every time you throw a nail to hammer. You're actually gaining equity. And people don't think like that. That elbow grease pays. People, again, convenience. You give up freedoms for convenience. You know, elbow grease. There's a lot of money in elbow grease that you save. And that goes back to, well, robots will take care of most of it eventually. And it'll be a new type of society we live in when that happens. I doubt it'll happen in our lifetime now, but it will happen. I'd rather it happen than us kill ourselves through war. I mean, you got to think the possibilities. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Mark. I hear you. And that's where I think actually the robotic eunuchs that William MCD was talking about will be actually beneficial for a homestead style of lifestyle, especially if the taxes rules change for children in homeschooling. You could actually survive quite well if things work out in that manner. Not saying they will, but it looks like there's a possibility it might. Everything can change coming in the future, obviously. That's why I'm looking, exact reason why I'm looking to get a $100,000 house, not a $300,000 house in Alabama. So I can get out of there at risk, have it paid off. And that's when, if I invite a friend over, I'll be more happy with having them over, because I'll be like, yeah, you don't have to worry. Ain't no one going to come for this house. Not the tax man. No, there's no loans on it. And in that state, that fence right there with those no trespassing signs actually means something, because in Alabama, you can shoot people who trespass. So they're very good. Fences make for good neighbors. So you don't have that much problem. So it doesn't matter what your house is, what it looks like. If you have more money, you can always throw money in the house to make it look better. It's paid off, is the point. My parents both died, didn't have houses paid off, and they bought their first house in 1970. Of course, they got divorced, and they never fucking owned a house. They bought, and then when they got divorced, they each bought, but they never owned it. Think about that. What a rat race, huh, Mark? They bought several houses, just never owned one of them for their entire lifetime. So in reality, I would be doing better than everyone in my family if I just paid my house off, because no one in my family's done that before they died. They always sold, bought another one that was nicer because Harry and the Hendersons wanted to see them in a nicer house and be in deeper debt, or whatever their reasons were for doing it. You can make money if you think about it, Mark C., you can make a lot of money on 20 acres. You make a lot of money. But, it's a little bit of work. It's not that much work, but it's still a little bit of work. And once you get it going, it gets easier and easier. Well, hopefully society will also make it easier for you to be in your kids' lives and not be away from them so much with work. And if you do a homestead, what I was going to mention was bees. If you do, I did several little short videos on a beekeeping system that would work perfect for a small homestead. And it would actually, like right now, I got mushrooms growing in my yard. So if I had a beehive, they'd be able to get the mycelium network, the dew off the mycelium network of those mushrooms, and turn their immune system on to live a lot longer, which means they'd create more bees, which creates more honey, more wax, both things you can sell, along with you can pull boxes off if they get too big and sell the boxes. You can make tons of money off bees if you just do it right, and it doesn't take that much work or time. If you use my system, it doesn't take that much time at all. So you could be very well off in a homestead scenario if you know what you're doing, because you also can reduce your food bill quite significantly, depending on where you're at, walnut trees, chestnut trees, orange trees, pear trees, apple trees, berry bushes, an acre or two of crops for animals that you have, sheep for wool or whatever whatever you get into. and you can really make some money and be save yourself more money, actually eat more healthy, which actually would save you a lot more money because you wouldn't be getting as unhealthy because you're eating crap food. So you can actually be a lot better off. But yeah, shared ideas. Also, yeah, solar power, wind power. Actually, if you have your own plaid, fuck solar power, wind power. It generates power at night too. They got nice little wind generators, small ones, under like 3 to 5 mile an hour wind. Will get you 1,500 watts of power an hour. And if you know how the Earth works, you have different atmospheres about, I think, every 10 or 15 foot. So if you put a little small wind generator on your property between the 25 to 30 foot mark, you're in like the second to third atmosphere, where it generally is a sustained wind of 5 to 7 miles an hour. That thing will be running, you'll be getting 1,500 watts 24/7, which is better than the solar system. The only reason they don't allow wind generators in residential areas is because of fictitious lawsuits about noise that they make, ugly to look at, and HOM, homeowners associations don't like them. It's not because it has nothing to do with their ineffectiveness. They are very effective at generating power, more so. Hey, what's up, gold and silver? More so than solar for a year-round power generation. And also, depending on what property you get, you should look at if you guys stream on the property, even if it's not year-round. You can do a hydro power generation for part-time. Look into it. Yeah, being sheep would be very, very good. And here's a thing to think about too for security. 30% of Americans are allergic to bee stings. So if the statistics go the same for American criminals, then 30% of American criminals will stay away from your house if you have bees. So it's a defense network. So three out of 10 will stay away from your house just because you have bees. And I probably more than that, because 2 or 3 more of them would be like, I really don't want to fuck with those bees. I don't care if I'm allergic or not. It hurts. So you probably are getting more than 50% of people that would fuck with your house theft wise, not dealing with you if you have bees in your yard. Exactly. Exactly. What the tax deduction is to guarantee that you stay in debt and don't own it. Hey, yep, there's another one. Chickens. Yeah. Chickens, eggs, and you'll find if you do different types of chicken runs and do vegetable growing specifically for them and do compost for all the little bugs and shit that come with it, you'll find that the egg shells will be a lot thicker and the eggs will be a lot healthier for you, because we've gotten real good at the science of what not to feed a chicken or how little to feed a chicken for expense reasons and still get a what they call a quality egg. But it's not a quality egg. It's if you homes if you have your own chickens, and it's not even in the feed you feed them. It's more having natural feed out there. That's why you do a compost in their chicken run area and turn it so they can get all the little bugs that are going to be in there. And you actually have an area where you grow fruits and vegetables, or vegetables, just for them to go and eat as part of their diet rather than little pellets that you feed them. That's what I talk about when I say natural feeding. Yeah, basically free range. Keep the ticks down. Yeah, another thing about William, uh, possums will eat up to 5,000 ticks a day if they come across that many. So don't go out of your way to run them fuckers over, because Lyme disease is on the increase, and it's because there's too many ticks. And there's too many ticks because too many motherfuckers are running over possums, and possums eat up to 5,000 ticks a day. So think about the circle of life. But yeah, chickens will as well. Well, My outside cats, we have raccoons, skunks, and possums. Actually, 4 or 5 possums come through the front and backyard. And so I'm not concerned about ticks in my yard. I have an abundance of possums that come by. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The natural way to do it would be the compost way, but there are a lot of better, more efficient ways to do it. Well, if you look at what Lyme disease does to you for the rest of your life, you wouldn't laugh so hard about having those possums around, buddy, because you'll be taking medication for the rest of your life if you get Lyme disease. You'll have different times and point in your life where you'll be in severe pain, nausea, all because of Lyme disease, and it all came from one single tick bite. And the rest of your life's gonna be fucked up. You'll be able to live it, but it ain't gonna be as comfortable as it could be had you not been bitten by that one little bug. That's why I believe they're not talking about the increase of Lyme disease. Yes, they can. Trust me, I know all about ticks up here. Uh, when you do beekeeping in Northern California, you go through what they call the Golden Hills. And that's why we got the name the Golden State. And what it is it's dried up fucking long weeds that are infested with fucking ticks. Yeah. You take one step off the track, you get 5 or 10 ticks on you just from going one step off. I have right now behind me on the top shelf 2 bottles that I still have of tick spray that I'd always keep with me when I'd go do my beekeeping because I'd go out and I'd do experiments and I'd learn shit and I'd put out bee traps and those would be going in areas where most humans don't go and I was doing all these experiments with bees and shit and so yeah I definitely used a lot of tick spray because the deer out here the deer tick is real bad. Yeah, and also, yes, it can not everybody, but yeah, and that's kind of fucked up too. So yeah, do I mean ticks? They're ugh. The profitability right now they're going for about 75 cents to $1 an egg in California. That's just one of the things, dude. That's just one of the things. There's this very prestigious private school in I think in Vermont. They actually took like an acre or two and turned it kind of into a swampy, pondious kind of environment, so they can do biology and science experiments in live time in the real environment. They found it's better schooling for the children. Very interesting shit. It's not being shared with public education, but another reason private school, your kids are homeschooled because your yard and all those puddles are actually great biological experiments and ecosystems and learning experiences. As a matter of fact, the mushrooms, I was thinking about that today. The mushrooms I was telling you about earlier that just came up in my yard, they only showed up because of one reason. The raccoons cleaned their hands in the water dish of the cats that are there, and they deposit a certain bacteria between their claws. So when I dump the water out, when the weather gets warm enough, those certain type of mushroom grow in that one area. And I found that out because there's another type of mushroom that grows in the Northwest in Washington, Northern Oregon, on the sides of trees. And the only way that those mushrooms are spawned, I guess, is when a bear catches the salmon and eats the salmon and then goes scratches on and makes its claw marks on the Pacific Northwestern trees. And the combination of the bacteria and the mixing with the tree and the salmon that they just tore apart gives it the right conditions for a certain type of mushroom to grow. Interesting shit, huh? You're like, wow, I didn't know that's how mushrooms lived or grew. Yeah, bears spread them, raccoons spread them. Certain types of mushrooms are required for that. That's so perfect, dude. That is very perfect. Oh, they want caviar, bro. They want caviar. Yeah, just do a little research, Mark. See, there's a lot of research like Golden Silver's talking about. You can help cut the cost of feeding your chicken, cut your cost by getting free eggs, increase your income by selling the extra eggs. I mean, it's like win, 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 win. Healthier food source, win. Away from society and all the shit it brings with you. It win. Dude, you can provide the right. I'm actually going to be getting into within the next year mushroom farming. Never talk about it. Yes, it's a thing I'm going to do. You can do them in those containers, the shipping containers. Those are like actually almost perfect if you're in the right area for growing mushrooms. And if you grow the right kind of mushroom, it's very profitable. People don't think about that either. Small contained unit, beautiful. And who the hell steals mushrooms? You know, hey, let's break in and steal the mushrooms. Which one do you want to do? You want to do the fly larva thing for the chickens or the mushroom growing? Yeah, a couple things we're talking about here. A couple conversations going on. All of it good information. Gold and Silver's dropping some bombs of information. Lived like a bear. You know, funny thing about mushrooms, bees get their immune system turned on by drinking the dew off the mycelia network of mushrooms, and they can live for up to a year. Every beekeeper now who doesn't know enough about bees will tell you bees live between 12 and 16 weeks. Another reason why you should get into my beekeeping system, because you can make more money, because their average is on a bee on a life expectancy of 16 weeks. If you increase that to a year, everything is exponential from growth to honey production, brood production. Everything is exponential for about 8 times. Everything, your wax production, honey production, pollination contracts, if you do your job, could increase. Yes, they do have personalities. Each one, they go through different phases of life where it's determined whether they'll be a guard bee, a worker bee, a pollen gathering bee. They guard the hive, like I already said that one. They all have different roles, and they'll fall into different roles throughout their life. So they have to have certain personalities, and some bees will stay at a certain. I mean, the more aggressive ones are going to be your guard bees, and that's where I was doing my research, and I made it their job easier, and they became less aggressive with their job being easier, because the Langstroth system makes their job impossible. So they're highly aggressive, and then the beekeepers come up with a beekeeping system based off a bee box that was invented that creates an aggressive guard bee because of design. Holy shit, can we change that? It's been 150 years. Yeah, I did. I changed it. And the bees are actually happier, easier to defend. They wax moths and hard will ever be a problem. Hornets and wasps getting in, not going to be a problem, because of the new design features that I created. Makes it easier for the guard bee to do their job and less of them to do their job. And that's the job where they usually die. So I imagine it's not like they want to do that job. They just get like told they're going to do that job. So that's why they're more aggressive, because they're, but that's just my imagination. They might not give a fuck about living time. I tend to think everything that's alive doesn't want to die, but that could be just me. Oh, dude, William, there's this bee was rediscovered actually by my friend and myself. It's the California golden bear. It's like freaking inch and a half long, almost 2 inches. It's a big. It's not a honeybee. It's not a carpenter bee. It's oh shit. Okay, I'll say it's a carpenter bee, even though it's not a carpenter bee, but it's not a honeybee either. It has an average of 3 females around them, and the California golden bear bee is brown, but the 3 females around it are about an inch and a half long, also, but they're solid black, and they so black that they kind of look purple with the sun hitting them right. I mean, that's how black they are. And if you see them flying around and you go up and start observing them, the male bee will get up about a foot in front of your face, and no matter where you go, he will follow you until you get away from his women. So insects do have more intellect than we give them credit for, or instinct, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they get real close to you, dude. I actually, I have a hell of a large photography file over several computers, and if I ever come across it, I actually have a picture of the fucker coming at me, keep chasing me away from his women. Hey, thanks, Pete, for being here. I do appreciate it. Everyone for coming in. All right, well, I'm gonna keep this short. It's been about an hour. I appreciate everyone for dropping by. I hope that some things were answered. I'm a cheap bastard. I'm not gonna have $1 billion mansion. I'm gonna have $100,000 fucking small house, and I'll throw money at it to improve it, to make it nice my way. And it'll be cheaper to do that, and I'll actually have the money to do that because I'll have it paid off quicker, a lot quicker, a hell of a lot quicker. Anyhow, you guys have a nice evening. I will talk to you later. Just think about downsizing. You can still you'll be happier. Have a good one, guys.